Welcome to Polishing Marbles. I'm Audrey, and in this podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you some beautiful information I channeled while on a walk this week. I was checking in with my guide Osho around the themes of 2025 and received insights that span from pet ascension symptoms to how it will look to create a new earth without the previously held templates that are focused on consistent production and money generation versus overflowing creativity from a place of safety. Lastly, I was offered some mind-blowing updates on the Great Solar Flash as it relates to the Law of Correspondence. I couldn't have even imagined this mirrored vision I was shown, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. As we approach the new year, I want to pause to celebrate your spiritual path and what brought you here. My true hope and mission in this world is to assist people on their ascension journey. But for all that I offer, remember that you are your own guru. Look to your heart for your own truth, as love will always illuminate your path.
So I would like to channel about the themes for the year because what I wrote already down for my podcast, like what needs to be shared. And what I wrote down was being detached, uh, just really releasing attachment and really erasing the board of things that are our belief systems and really asking where they came from, our narratives, our templates, our programs, basically of what is true and what is not true, and really scouring to see what resonates from the source it came from, if the source resonates or not, because sometimes we argue for things that are not even what we believe or even what we understand. And just releasing our commitment to a certain belief or mindset, being willing to and surrendering to things outside of your scope. And also um, to be non-judgmental about what your body is experiencing or how it is transforming um, what you feel, your sensations, to not be judgmental or fearful of what that looks like, but to like look at it as a normal process of like puberty or pregnancy or things we already know our body does, but then to follow it up with the fact that animals around us go through those things, like preparing for hibernation in the winter or molting, uh, bedding. All of those things are things that animals do all around us, and that we've really been detached from what we naturally cycle through and have instead pathologized it based off of our context of needing to live in a capitalistic society. So, since we're not able to function within the cycle of rest and express, contract and express, whatever it is, uh, since we've not been allowed to live that way, our body has felt those things, but we've pathologized it that we should be in production all the time in our slavery. And that's just not how we're supposed to live. So instead of pathologizing it and um, it's seeking truth from outside sources and trusting them above our own instinct is really being put to the forefront of going back into your understanding of instinct. So those are the themes that I have that came up, but I know that there are more. Um, and so I'm going to channel about that. The first thing that comes to mind coming through is finding out truths that have been hidden instead of going into anger go into excitement, um, simply because I think all of us can relate to the fact no matter what the circumstance is that's going to dismantle the slavery is in absolute preference to the continuation of slavery. So it is the excitement and the understanding that whatever comes at least doesn't have to be this anymore. And to go into like expansion, which is where that release from attachment comes from, is to just not be attached to the things that you've strived for your whole life because they are not serving. And if you've had this future that you've plotted and schemed for that has like, I'm going to get this house and I'm going to get these cars and I'm going to have this paycheck. And if someone, well, it's a lot of blackbirds, there's hundreds of them. Um, and if then you're told, oh, this is not something you get to do anymore, there's going to be a little bit of like anger that you worked so hard for what? But to just be detached from that template that wasn't serving you, that was exhausting you anyway, be detached from the fact that, perhaps you've worked yourself into not autoimmune disease or obesity or systemic inflammation, whatever it is, cancer, like all of that aside, understanding of the eternal nature of our existence and just being detached from what used to be a defining factor of the self. Because once you detach from that and you identify with just love, there's nothing that can be taken away from you, including your life. Like it just doesn't matter. Nothing is worth the suffering. And I think part of uh, the mass manipulation is around this hanging over your head, living in a van down by the river, from like SNL, or just in general homelessness or madness or crack addiction or whatever it is, of like, if you do not abide by these rules, you will immediately be expelled from society as an untouchable. And that has been very intentionally implemented as a fear tactic to keep people in line. That is not the case. And in fact, so much so that self-sustainability, having lost all of those skills, we would not be scared if we knew how to self-sustain. We would not be scared if we knew that we had the resources that we needed to continue within our communities instead of pitting people against each other. So it's about building relationships in your local community. It's about gaining self-sufficiency. It's about not being attached to materialism and going into natural cycles. And all of these are going to be reflective of the stages I've gone through in my detachment from the matrix, because this is all coming down to like, how do we manage once a matrix is dismantling and is revealed to us? So it is also simply being present and understanding that you cannot convince someone of a truth that they haven't found on their own. Uh, Largely, that looks like, if you're finding out that it's all the matrix and you're trying to tell everyone, oh my God, it's a matrix. If someone doesn't know that and hasn't found it for themselves in their organic way, they're going to not be able to receive what you're saying, and to also be unattached from that. Like, to be in your own truth and be at your own frequency, and do not push onto someone else and accept that they're on a different path, despite how much you love them, despite how much you want them to also see what you see, to be disconnected from it and allow with love. You don't have to be argumentative. You don't have to like get involved in discourse, but to be in a state of a full acceptance. And being told that there's like also an ascension process that animals are going through. And right, okay, so this is very much in reflection of pets will mirror their their guardians. I was gonna say owners, and I was like, no, they're guardians. Um, Pets are gonna mirror their guardians and what they're going through. So if pets are displaying strange behavior, they look uncomfortable, their sleep patterns are changing, their bodies are different. It's going to be, if the animal has a strong bond with the person, their guardian, they're going to mirror all of that. And if you pathologize that, just as you would pathologize yourself, like uh, being unattached to like that. So really, like working on yourself is going to be mirrored back to you and your pets. And your pets are holding and transmuting a lot of your karmas to the best of their ability out of a like, contract of love. And so communicating with them, like if they're suffering, like you do not have to hold this for me. I love you. Please don't hold this for me. Um, I do not want you to feel discomfort on my behalf. That's something you can verbalize and they will acknowledge energetically. The sovereignty piece is huge to not even in situations I'm seeing of conflict where there's like something imposed that requires a person not acquiesce, but just be more non-confrontational, that you are able within your sovereignty to engage without conflict with a collective happening, like something that's happening collectively. You can engage in the world in your sovereignty without giving your sovereignty away, without creating a ruckus. Like you don't have to be in. What I'm seeing is that somebody is who's coming to their knowledge of the matrix and their agitation and anger around that matrix as things are becoming more clear. And that person is wanting to be a disruptor. As a very, very fast car just sped by. Um, they're wanting to be a disruptor out of that, like rage, anger, whatever it is. And they feel entitled to do so because of this real contrast that's coming up. And I'm hearing, you don't have to be a disruptor to hold your sovereignty. You can be in your power and not be. It comes down to you can be in your power and also be invisible. You can be in your power and also be in the mix of other people who aren't without being seen or heard. It's not really, there are people that are contracted to create and engage in this disruption. There are people who are contracted to do that, who have chosen to do that. If their freedom of choice in this incarnation beyond their contract guides them toward that disruption, absolutely they can engage in it with whatever outcome. But there are people. What he's saying is it's really important for people to understand you don't have to be in stark opposition to stay in your sovereignty, because there's a confusion around whatever is going on around you. You may need to blend in. And I don't know why that's so important. What is this? You may need to blend in. Why do you need to blend in? There may be circumstances that make people feel that they're going to have to lie about who they are in order to survive, but you don't have to. You can still be in your power and not engage with what is happening collectively. You can, if you tap in, you will be guided toward how to do that without disruption to your personal life and your personal orbit. It really is tapping in instinctually. We're being asked to tap in instinctually and not what is collectively persuading someone to behave, especially the best example he's shown me, the bucket challenge. I never wanted to dump a bucket of ice over me. I don't like being cold and uncomfortable. But that was a social experiment that was made a trend in order for people to see how people would do something uncomfortable, how many people would do something uncomfortable in order by feeling the social pressure to do it to be perceived a certain way. And I remember I did it and I felt like good about myself for having done it because um and it's like with all the trends on social media, like blacking out um for Black Lives Matter or whatever, like all of that is a social experiment. How many people will acquiesce to a common behavior, whether you are personally involved in it or not, given the social pressure to do so? And so Osho's saying, don't do that. Only like be in your sovereignty. You don't have to engage in whatever the collective is doing because it even like if it looks good, just like don't do it if it doesn't resonate and go on your intuition. So based off of that, Osho, I'm curious about what's upcoming, like as an update from my vision that I posted yesterday because I was told to post it. So could you tell me why that is? That I posted it and also like what more is to be known? Or dismantling is just coming through so heavily to dismantling. So systems don't just, it's not a matter of shutting down every system because it won't, the body can't survive if every system shuts down. I mean, like surgery. So it's delicate. There's, you don't want to work on all the systems if there is a mass infection because the vulnerability, right? The vulnerability will actually make it so that the systems cannot survive if they are ill and they're to be like worked on. Like you can't operate on a body if there is sepsis. And we're in sepsis right now. So the first thing that needs to be treated is the infection. And so before systems can be rebuilt. Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. So if you're septic, you can't eat. Uh, the energy exchange is not there. There's a great weakness and a need for stillness while the sepsis is being treated. I've had sepsis twice. So it is a matter of extreme rest and reflection to work on the infection. The infection has to be treated first. So, what are the things? It's a vibrational um, assault on the body. I'm seeing like a it's all a mirror. It's all a mirror. I've got shells everywhere. If there's a mass infection, sepsis in the body, you're only getting you're only getting antibiotics and fluids. You're not eating. It's necessary for like because you're all the energy in your system has to work on overtime to expel the infection before it can properly digest food and get stronger for the systems to heal. So it's all about, all about, all about, he's repeating, all about ridding the body of the infection first. And it's going to have to be frequency. There's a mass battle that's going on over this frequency because the Schumann and what's happening with the fucking hey, seriously, what's happening with the sun is naturally working to fight that infection through plasma upgrades of the cells in the body individually becoming less ill, and that's us. So we are going through this really sick feeling of ridding ourselves of infection, and part of that infection, the largest part of that infection, is through frequency of this imposed matrix that is dying. But because they've gained they've held technological advancements back over the last 50 years and plus. And these technological advancements are because everything is frequency. As I'm walking past a sign that says Tesla, are you kidding me? 333. Wow. That's crazy because the license plate in that Tesla garage says A333. And I had that vision last night about 369 next to Tesla, and that was connected. That is such a confirmation. Thank you, Osho. That timing is magnificent. But because all of the advanced technologies are around frequency, there is, and this is what's happening with the drones, and some of the plasma orbs are man-made. And that's what you told me before, was that there's trickery going on, but they work through frequency. They're emitting frequency, and they're also trying to dulling. Oh, is that what I've been feeling? The towers are emitting really, really strong frequencies of density to oppose. They get ramped up when the Schumann acts up in order for the upgrades that are needed in people to be opposed. And so, interesting. People are reporting, feeling shitty or emotional or angry or whatever during these times where there's great activity in the sun, which should be making us feel light, but it's actually like kind of like a parasitic death. Like when you're going through a parasite cleanse, you feel shitty, and people are feeling shitty. They would do that anyway. But I'm seeing that it's really globally with the 5G towers. What's being done is what I saw in Salt Lake. What I saw in Salt Lake is being done globally. Is that there's a frequency that's being emitted that keeps people at a certain place that they can't go past, or it's a great of great difficulty. So they're not able to problem solve. Actually, they're not able to focus. They're not able to complete simple tasks as easily as they used to. It's just causing a lot of internal discord among interpersonal relationships and in systems in big and small ways. And it's being internalized as mental illness, but or physical illness. And it's actually from doing this, putting a strain on the healthcare and the mental health care systems, especially the emergent ones, that's creating a burnout in it's putting pressure on the system. A dam that's going to break. That's what I'm hearing. Dam will break. That also happened with COVID. The dam would break, but they're trying to just like band-aid it. They're like, oh no, we can squeeze a little bit more out of the turnip. You just try a little bit longer. And it's just bad. It's all bad. And so this is like the people who can oppose that frequency are the ones that are holding a great deal of light. So we're holding a lot right now. And it's causing a lot of generalized discomfort. It's a very dense period. Very dense. And it's that dip before a leap, lunge before the jump, the long jumper. It is felt and experienced a real deep lunge. Everything feels just so thick and heavy and cementy and bad. It's so bad. Uh, as light holders, as pillars, we're holding a lot during this time, and because we have this coding in our mission to do and complete certain tasks, there's a drive to press forward and move beyond our own comfort levels because of that internalized expectation, which is actually part of a old matrix that's dying. Anything you make with that old template of creating to make money can't thrive in new earth because it's built on an old system that is dying. And then I thought, how many people are doing things with their time and energy and focus that are just to make money, not because of, being greedy or self-survival, because we're in slavery. So because of that, of course, you're trying to figure out how to do stuff you like. You're trying to do stuff you like to make money to survive, not shit that you want to die every day. But it was so striking to me, creating something that you like with the frequency in it of survival will not flourish in a new earth because the templates are shifting. So the key then is to shift it to what the template will be. So you can be in ease and abundance through that frequency. And that just came through. So I have no idea what that looks like. What does that look like? They're going to be frequency exchanges, like energy exchanges between entities that go back to elements, molecules coming together to create something new, they will be mutually beneficial with things that aren't money. I see. Okay, so I'm seeing when money is irrelevant. Look instead at what the world will look like when money is irrelevant and how you'll spend your time and energy and focus. If money becomes irrelevant, I would only wish to create or channel or share or whatever as my body and spirit and mind want to. I wouldn't do it when I don't want to. I wouldn't do it when it feels expansive or obligatory or I have an expectation to do something a certain way. I would not do it. I would do it when it felt like it was something I needed to create. And when my body was well rested and I felt satiated and joyful, and I was full enough to overflow in creation instead of being depleted and trying to squeeze from an empty vessel. I've been given an opportunity to actually exist this way right now. And at the same time, it is important for an energy exchange to be in place, but it needs to not come from a place of desperation or need. It has to come from a place of I have excess to create and give, and it has no choice but to come back to equalize. Because no matter what someone does, if they're depleted, whatever exchange they're given, it's not going to fill what's empty if it was made from a place of depletion. It has to come from a place of being expansive and joyful, like you have to create. And if it doesn't come from I have to create, it doesn't hold the proper signature. That's what it comes down to, which is why they've kept us out of that satiation for millennia. Why they changed in the Gnostic Gospels about, because the Gnostics say that you need to keep some of what you have and not give it if you don't have it. But in the Bible, the edited portion is like, no, if you have nothing, give more because you'll be blessed if you're doing it with a pure heart. But you can never get ahead if you're an empty vessel. So your needs have to be met and you have to be in a place of ease and rest, or you will, whatever you make isn't going to be, you have to feel like it's overflowing from you, or it's the wrong signature for abundance and it's a trust fall into that signature of abundance, even if you don't know how. Okay, thank you for that. I would like to then pivot to my next question. So if we're going to have to fix the infection first, that really starts with each cell working on that frequency shift. And to do so while actively fighting against a frequency battle that's being waged. And it's also, I'm hearing through, music and media and all the messaging, subliminal and otherwise, there's a lot of signatures in things that people aren't aware of that are very disruptive. Being very careful about what the vessel is receiving. Anything that is a lower frequency, to be very, very careful about that. And then to also tune oneself. But beyond that, there's going to be a point of no return, I hear. point of no return is when something is made so abundantly clear that it changes a collective consciousness in a moment. And I do hear that that's the solar flash. So, I mean, I've seen this before, the solar flash, many times. And so many people say that it is not a literal flash. I do see it as a literal flash. Could you speak to that, please? So it is, in fact, for some people, it isn't. And for some, it is. It's very much around what you, what, what timeline you're on, and what you've chosen for your experience, and what follows that experience. So it's not just the event, but it's everything that follows that event and how that event causes things to unfold collectively, which is part of your personal choice and your path. Um, the Great Solar Flash itself is going to be a setting point to it looks the same as it has for me before. It's a setting point to release all the old programming for people, or frequency wise they're unable to hold it, and it will release. Could you show me through the law of correspondence what this looks like? It's it's a flash that's already happened, that's coming down the pike from larger central sun. And because we live in a realm that is dictated by time and space in a way that is experienced through paced time, we haven't experienced it yet. But it is showing me the spark of life within an embryo, as like when it is fertilized, when an egg is fertilized and the moment of life sparks. This is what is happening. We are an egg being fertilized by the central sun that is being expressed through solar systems to get to our sun, and will be coming off of our sun to then fertilize the planet with new life. I'm seeing that our planet is right now an aged egg that is it's reaching its point of viability, where if it's not fertilized soon, it will no longer be viable for life. Um, that's when, a woman is no longer fertile. Like her eggs are too old, and everything comes out, distorted. This is that. He's showing me the solar flash is when our planet is being fertilized to come back to life and create something just inconceivable. Like an egg doesn't know what it's going to become a human. Got all the coding in it to become a human, but it needs that support to bring those two together. The divine union. That's what the divine union is to that fertilization, that spark of life. The union's been anchored, but the life hasn't taken part yet. It's like an extreme slowdown of that process that we're experiencing. We're all these codes inside of this egg, but we are simultaneously all these systems in a body. Everything goes infinitely inward and outward. And so there's nothing, there's a lot of efforts Like truly, it's so my understanding is the egg selects which sperm is going to fertilize it. It's like very much a decision that's made. So in that case, the egg would be Gaia, and she is picking what reality she wants to create. And her decision is the only thing that is needed for that to bring that light in, that ray in, for that fertilization to take place. And there's a rush of there's an influx of activity from the sun acting as that potential. Which one is going to be the one that fertilizes the planet to create the life? And there is a flash that will do that. The flash is the result. The the um, flare will produce a CME of plasma that will hit the earth in a way that is the chosen way, the one that is needed. And when that arrives, the spark of life happens. And that's what fertilizes the planet and brings brand new life. This is incredible. The great solar flash being that fertilization, that spark and frequency of life. That is extraordinary. But is Gaia's choice which one? I'm seeing it right now. It's like the able to open. She's able to decide what future she just needs to decide what future she wants. This is the same as a woman when given an opportunity. Once she anchors in what she wants, she will make it happen. And if she sets her sights on a man or whomever, that is what she opens herself to once that decision is made. And Gaia, I feel, has narrowed down her decision of what she wants with the work we've done to anchor in the unity of the masculine and feminine to prepare the way. Like the frequency is here. We're just bringing in the light. And whatever kind of opposition is happening environmentally, if she's made the decision, if she has made the decision, there is nothing that can stop a woman that has decided what she wants. Not a damn thing. And she's got the support here for it. So it really comes down to you chose the flash, it's on its way. And we are waiting for it. We're waiting for it to hit. And that is what is going to take out the infection. And from there, that's when the systems start developing. That's when the systems start developing because the coding for the systems are there, but they haven't developed. And the first thing that develops is the heart. And once we have a fertile ground, the heart will start to beat. I have chills.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And if this resonates with you, please share with whoever you feel it would help. And I wish you a very happy new year.